Hello everybody. This is a lecture that goes over some examples which uses some objects and classes and of course some of the other constructs that we have learned in the Java language. So I created a project called Object Classes, and I also created a package called Java Objects. And the way I did that is by right-clicking on the source and going to New and clicking on Package, and then naming my package as Java Objects. What it does when we create a package is that it organizes my folders or organizes my code into folders. I would then go and create a new class, and I would name my class Test My Rectangle. And create a main method, generate comments, and finish. And that would be my Test My Rectangle method. So let me bring in the code that I had written for Test My Rectangle. Now I would also bring in the class that I had written for this. And there are two ways you can do this. You can write the class separately in a separate file, compile it, not run it, and then write my other class, which is Test My Rectangle, separately as a different file, and then run it and compile it. But let's go over the code with you all. So I start my class called My Rectangle. Remember, my class is my blueprint, and it has its own data members. In this case, I have a double with width and height with some initialized value, which is 1. And then I have a constructor. Remember, my constructor will have the same name as my class, but the constructor is a no-arg constructor. I define another constructor, but in this case, this is a constructor with multiple arguments. New width and new height are two double parameters that I would accept, or I would use, and then I would assign those two values into width and height, which is defined as my data members. I also have some double method called getArea. This is returning a double value, and of course, since it's returned a double value, I have to have a return. And then I have my getPerimeter, which is also going to return 2 times width plus height. So that is how I'm going to calculate my perimeter. Then I wrote my public class called Test My Rectangle. I have a main method, and in my main method I define two objects. One is called My Rectangle, and I use the new operator to declare or create my new object and pass these two values 4 and 40. So of course, this is the constructor that it's going to use, and then I'm using my system out print line and accessing the width, height, and get area by utilizing my object name with a dot, and then my variable name, and the third one is my area. And I also use the object name dot get perimeter to access my class method that I wrote in my class. I create another object called Your Rectangle, pass in some values, and I do the same exact thing. So that is an example of how I can write my class with some public data variables, and then create an object and associate the variables from that class.